the OnePlus 10 Pro is finally here, and well, we've already done a comparison of the iQOO 9 Pro with the OnePlus 10 Pro. A lot of you guys were interested in knowing about how this phone fares against the other 9 Pro, which is the OnePlus 9 Pro. Well, that's what this video is all about. I'm just gonna keep the intro short. Basically, this video is talking about if the OnePlus 10 Pro is a worthy successor to the OnePlus 9 Pro or not. Of course, if in the market, you should buy the latest upgrade, but is the 10 Pro actually worth it? That's what this video is all about. This is Varun from GTR, and let's just quickly jump right into it. Alright, so kicking things off, let's talk about the designs here. Now, they both look flagship in their own ways, though I personally would slide with the 10 Pro here simply because it looks a little bit more unique. See, here's the thing. The OnePlus 9 Pro has a design that looks very outdated right now, and more importantly, does not even look that flagship-y, if I would say, simply because there are budget devices from OnePlus and Realme that have the same camera module, have the same glass-like finish, although some have plastic. But yeah, you get the point. This back looks very, very synonymous with all of the budget devices under 22 or even under 25,000. So this thing lacks that unique value right now. The OnePlus 10 Pro definitely looks unique. I mean, it just easily stands out of the crowd. You might say that this part is copied by the Samsung Galaxy S22 series, which you'd be right when you say that. But even so, OnePlus has done enough efforts to make the 10 Pro stand out uniquely in its own way. So yeah, if I'm going from a premium design perspective, the 10 Pro easily gets my vote of confidence. Both the phones have a good in-hand feel, and personally, I think I like 10 Pro's matte back here as well, because the 9 Pro is just a massive fingerprint magnet. Now, other than that, they're both dual SIM devices with no support for microSD card slot or 3.5 headphone jack, which is about to be expected. Now, one thing to highlight is the OnePlus 9 Pro came with an official IP68 rating. As for the OnePlus 10 Pro, there's no confirmation if there is an IP68 rating for the Indian variant here. I mean, if there will be, I'll mention it down there in the comment section, but as of right now, I have no official confirmation on that. Alright, so next up, let's talk about the displays, and it's basically the same panel. It's the same 2K AMOLED 6.7-inch HDR10 Plus panel with 1300 nits of peak brightness, and of course you get variable refresh rate thanks to the LTPO2 technology. Same bezels, same display quality, everything is the same. You get wideband L1 support on both the devices, and you get HDR10 HEVC support in Netflix on both. The only difference here is in terms of protection. While the OnePlus 9 Pro comes with Gorilla Glass 5 protection, the OnePlus 10 Pro comes with Gorilla Glass Victus protection, and I would any day pick Victus over Gorilla Glass 5. Although, if I'm being very realistic here, as a consumer, you should just invest in a good tempered glass. A good tempered glass will cost you what, 1,500 to 2,000 bucks, and honestly, it's just worth rather than, risking your device falling and the screen cracking and then you having to spend, well, a fortune of the money just to get the display repaired. So yeah. Other than that, you get stereo speakers on both, and both the devices sound very loud, so no complaints there. Next up, we have the cameras, and it's basically the same camera setup. The 9 Pro had the useless 2MP mono sensor, which has been removed from the 10 Pro. Now, the 10 Pro also has double the megapixels for the selfie shooter, and that's about it. But those are the on-paper specs. Let's see how these cameras perform in the real world. Now, right off the bat, I would like to establish the fact that the 9 Pro had a decent camera at launch, but the quality was improved after the software updates. Now, when you compare it with the 10 Pro, there's not a lot separating the two. For the most part, the images look the same. Same color profile, same level of detail. The HDR performance, however, is better on the 10 Pro, so that's one area of improvement. The 10 Pro also clicks images that are brighter. You see, the 9 Pro shots are contrasty in comparison. The way it works is that the 10 Pro gives more room to the user if they want to edit their shot. I mean, by default also the shot looks pretty good, but thanks to a tad bit higher exposure, you can easily edit the images if you want. In comparison, 9 Pro shots look great as it is, but doing any massive editing to it will result in noise. The colors are slightly saturated on the 10 Pro, but very slightly, not massively. Selfies are also better on the 10 Pro, more details and more contrasty shots too. Moving on, even the low light performance is improved on the 10 Pro. Now, both the phones don't have that much noise, but the 10 Pro definitely has better illumination. Moving on, for videos, well, let's just take a look. Alright, so we're getting 1080p footage from the OnePlus 9 Pro, which is on my left, and the OnePlus 10 Pro, which is on my right side. One thing to highlight initially is the fact that ultra stable mode has been turned on both the devices. So as a result, the 9 Pro can only record at 30 fps while the 10 Pro will record at 60 fps. So it is a strong advice on my end to not judge the video quality here exactly, but to actually go ahead and download the direct camera samples from the link in the description box so that you can see the difference between 30 fps and 60 fps properly, considering the YouTube's compression and the way we upload our videos will only be at 30 fps. Now, other than that, as far as the HDR is concerned, you can take a look here. The HDR seems to be good on both the devices. In terms of stability, I would say that both the devices are once again at par. While they both have OIS sensors, it seems that the 10 Pro is, well, a bit more cropped in, which I do not like. But yeah, overall they're both pretty good, both stable, no complaints whatsoever. Alright, moving on to selfie videos. This is the OnePlus 9 Pro, which is on my left, and the OnePlus 10 Pro, which is on my right. Both are 1080p videos, capped at, well, whatever the frame rate is. I think that's 30 fps because I've turned on the ultra stabilization mode here as well. Now, of course, there's a little offset because my face is a little offset here because both the cameras are at the top left corner, so I have to like adjust them a little bit. But yeah, this should give you a basic idea of the kind of colors and the kind of stability and the mic quality as well on both the devices. Honestly, if I'm looking at it right now, I would say that both are pretty good in terms of face colors. The 10 Pro seems to be capturing things at a slightly warmer tone, which I do prefer because for human shots, warmer tones are always preferable. And as far as HDR goes, it's pretty bad on both. Alright, so moving along, let's talk about the performance here. Now, both the phones come with UFS 3.1 storage, while the OnePlus 9 Pro had the earlier flagship, which is the Snapdragon 888, while the OnePlus 10 Pro comes with the newer Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor. Now, as you would expect in benchmarks, the OnePlus 10 Pro outperforms the OnePlus 9 Pro pretty much everywhere. But like I said, that is to be expected because this is a newer flagship processor. But leave the benchmarks aside, and when you talk about the real world usage, both are equally smooth. Both are flagship devices, and you can't really tell the difference in terms of app launch speeds. Also, both the devices heat up equally, to be honest, so that is also one thing to keep in mind. Now, as far as the software is concerned, both the devices have Oxygen OS 12.1 based on Android 12. Now, while it's nice to see that both the devices are running on the latest software updates, it's super buggy on the OnePlus 9 Pro. I mean, I am not the only one complaining about it. You must have already read all the articles about it. So much so that OnePlus also had to roll back the update first. Eventually, they did launch the update, but it's still buggy. In comparison, the 10 Pro feels far more stable. It's not perfect by any means. I mean, there are issues with the status bar as well. Sometimes the auto brightness does not work. Sometimes the sensor for call detection does not work. But yeah, it's still far better than the 9 Pro. So lastly, we have the battery life. The OnePlus 9 Pro has a 4500 mAh battery with 65 watts charging and 50 watt wireless charging. The OnePlus 10 Pro improves upon it with a 5000 mAh battery with 80 watts wired and 50 watts wireless charging. Now see, here's the thing. I genuinely don't care about the bump up from 65 watts to 80 watts. 65 watts is good enough for me. However, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 or even 888 for that matter is a power hungry chip. So the difference of 500 mAh in the battery backup makes a whole difference for me, and for that very reason I would pick the OnePlus 10 Pro. Of course, when you are picking this device, then yes, having 80 watts fast charging does come in handy, but I'll be very upfront, I would have been happy with 65 watts, but the extra bump up in the battery size is what matters to me. Which basically brings us to the pricing. The OnePlus 9 Pro starts at rupees 60,000 and 65,000 for both of its variants, and the OnePlus 10 Pro starts at rupees 67,000 and 72,000 for both of its variants. So with a price gap of 7,000 rupees, which phone should you pick? Personally, I would say that if you're spending that high, it's always better to spend a little bit more and just get the latest device. And it's not like the OnePlus 10 Pro does not improve. The OnePlus 10 Pro definitely improves. Sure, the display is the same, but you get better protection. The design is still as ergonomic, but still looks unique. The camera is definitely improved. The battery life is improved. And you also get one extra year of software updates because this is a latest device. So yeah, when you look at the whole picture, the 10 Pro definitely managed to justify its price tag and is definitely worthy of the successor, crown. Now, should you buy the OnePlus 9 Pro? Well, it's still a good phone. It's still snappy. It will still last you at least 2-3 years, so no complaints there. My only advice would be to wait for a couple of weeks because I'm pretty sure there will be a sale coming and this thing will drop even lower. I mean, before the OnePlus 10 Pro was launched, this was still at a price cut of rupees 60,000 anyway, right? So now that the 10 Pro has been launched, I am sure you will get a price cut on the OnePlus 9 Pro in one of the upcoming sales. And that is when you should actually be buying the OnePlus 9 Pro. Right now, if we're talking, just pick the OnePlus 10 Pro. But if you can wait, then sure, you can't really go wrong with the OnePlus 9 Pro either. And well, that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by pressing a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Aman from GTR and I'll see you in the next one.